Welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday edition of the Expendable Show. I'm your host, the Expendable. Bonnie's already in the comments. We like that. I better turn my silence on. Anyway, we got a big show today. There's a lot of interesting things to cover today. So we're gonna Bonnie, I gave you some visuals there since I'm famous in London today. So let's get into I'm getting ahead of myself. If you like the show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. It's how the channel grows. And let's get into our sponsor page. This episode is brought to you by Gatsby Trading Solutions and the Islamabad Telegraph. And next, so we are only a few days away from 404 Day. I'm waiting to find out what my work assignment is going to be for that event. They just added Shamar to the music lineup, so it's going to be Dandy. Hopefully he shows up sober. Last time I saw him, he was super drunk and couldn't remember how to spell his name. So hopefully he shows up in better spirits. You never know; he's a wild card. But if you're in Atlanta and you go to the Atlanta Underground on Saturday, that's where I'll be. I'm going to make a ton of content. If you are looking for me, I won't be hard. I'll probably be the only white person in the whole place. Just look for the white guy. So that's that. The 404 Day Weekend Music Festival. It's going to be a blast. This is the biggest festival in the city of Atlanta. It's going to be broadcast on BET, for that kind of stuff. So where's Rachel at? I was going to have Rachel co-sign on something for me, but she ain't here yet. Hey, Linda. It's all going to be like hip hop and rap. We're doing a Mother's Day one whenever Mother's Day is, in a month or whatever. That one's going to be we're going to be bringing in some R&B stuff. Hopefully it'll be from like the 90s and 2000s, like the Boyz II Men types. That's what I remember. Also, we are, if you do like rap and hip hop, please check out my client, Grit Baby. She's on all the music stuff. Just type in Grit Baby. You'll see her. She's got one song released. It's pretty good. It's getting a lot of headway around here in Atlanta. She might end up getting somewhere with that. We're going to push hard for it. So I'm going to try to book her for some stuff here pretty soon. And let's get into our statistics for the day. So gas went up again. We're at $4.06 a gallon on average. Hey, G bro, what's up? Where's Rachel? And the mortgage rates, they went down just a hair. So they're at 6.25%. Trump's approval rating went up 0.1%. So he is now at 41.1%. Shoot, the Dow Jones, I got to look. See if the Dow Jones got any better today. Okay, so the Dow Jones has recovered a lot. So the Dow Jones closed today at $46,565.74. That's like $1,500 a share up from Friday. So something's happening in the world. So before we get into stuff, I want to share some stuff with you guys that I thought was kind of funny. Well, for one, your favorite, The Expendable, was on the Times Now yesterday, talking about war like normal, because I'm an international man of mystery. If you want to watch all the stuff that I do internationally, you have to go to my X page because I post every video of every segment that I'm on there. Mainly because most of the international community uses X, so they just tag me and stuff, and it goes right to my page. But I was on today on the Republic out of India, and I didn't get the punchline today. And usually I try to get the punchline. I try to get that one comment in that makes everybody mad. But today I didn't. It was a younger gentleman from Washington, D.C. that I had never heard of until today. But I definitely am following him now. So we're going to play. Now you got to pay attention. He sneaks this in there, and I can't believe they didn't edit it out. All right, so there's your favorite expendable. He's right there, Atlanta. On there with somebody from Moscow and some American trader in China. So here we go. Listen to the Washington guy.
Has been vaporized in the span of 48 hours. So I think from that standpoint, we don't even know who is truly running Iran right now. Is it the gay Ayatollah who has been a cardboard cutout?
I don't know if you guys caught that, but we're going to go back and play it again.
Who has been a cardboard cutout, who the Trump administration, next year of leadership, and then their next year of leadership has been vaporized in the span of 48 hours. So I think from that standpoint, we don't even know who is truly running Iran right now. Is it the gay Ayatollah who has been a cardboard cutout, who the Trump administration? I
can't believe they didn't edit that out. I'm blown away. But he gets the mic drop of the day for that. I forget what his name is. I'll get it in case y'all want to follow him on. His name is Matthew Foldi, Foldi, and it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that came out of his mouth. Mic drop moment for sure. He's got me beat. So hats off to Matthew Foldi. He got it. He got it done for America today. Because they was really trying to hammer down on us. And I think they put too many, they put too many America supporters on the panel today. Because the Moscow guy, he was real quiet. The general, the guy on the end was a general from India. He was real quiet. Like they was getting outnumbered today on the show. But the host, he's always like very critical of President Trump all the time. So, but I think that's why he brings me on, is because I get to argue, which I enjoy doing on that show. But that was a fun one. The gay Ayatollah, I was not expecting that. I should have played it a little bit longer because I was trying to hold back from laughing. I just started smiling. I was like, I wanted to lose it. I was about to fall out of my chair. So let's get to the big news today, or I guess it was yesterday, but usually I do my Kentucky stuff at the end, but this is like headline news for me because it's like an epic day. So as a lot of you in London know, and some of you that are not in London may not know, or those of you from other states that watch my show will not know. But as you know, my arch nemesis is Randall Weddle, the mayor of London, Kentucky. Yesterday, he was indicted. So Randall Weddle was formally indicted on 4 felony campaign finance charges, all tied to allegedly making excessive political donations using his personal credit card and attributing them to other individuals. The charges stem from late December 2022 contributions to Governor Andy Beshear's campaign in the Kentucky Democrat Party, far above Kentucky's legal limits for donations. I know, Freddie. Everybody's ecstatic. There's only like maybe 10 people of the Weddleites that are like, oh man, poor Randall. Randall Weddle is that group's like welfare card. He is like a food stamp for those people. So they're all going to take a hit. The London, Kentucky food stamp just ran out. It's bankrupt now. So what we know, and we're going to break this down so that way everybody understands. And I'm not going to politically chastise him in the terms that I want. This is going to be educational. It's going to be stuff that you can fact check and look. So Weddle is accused of 4 Class D felony counts for excessive campaign contributions. So what he did was he used his personal credit card to pay a couple $100,000 in campaign. And so he donated a bunch of money. Well, that's more than what you're allowed to as an individual in the state of Kentucky. So what he was trying to do to bypass that, he went in and he said, well, I collected all this money from all the people in my area. And it was like broke ass people. I mean, I promised that I was going to use less profanity with one of my guests that I'm going to be interviewing on Monday that I'm very excited about. So I'm going to try to use less profanity. I promise. He made me think about it, and I'm not going to do it. But so what Weddle did was he used all the people who couldn't afford $15,000, $16,000 donations and put it in their names and said, oh, this donation comes from so-and-so. This donation comes from so-and-so. And he rounded up all like this massive amount of money in a very short amount of time, which according to the news reports, it raised red flags with the Bashir campaign. I highly doubt that's the truth, because I don't think anybody was going to do anything about it until the Kentucky Lantern caught it and exposed it. So hats off to you, Kentucky Lantern, for catching one of the biggest scandals in recent memory in Kentucky. They did a fantastic job covering that. So some of the contributions that were cited in the indictment was $18,000 to Governor Andy Bashir's campaign. We know there's way more. When you add it all up, it's like $200-some thousand. $75,000 went to the Kentucky Democrat Party. So the guy who runs around and says he's a Republican, he sure does give a lot of money to Democrats. So that was all made between December 27th to December 30th. He collected all this money in like 3 days, so he said. But really what he did was he jumped in his own bank account and paid it. And I think during some of the grand jury questioning, it was everybody pretty much pointed the finger at Randall Weddle, which I explained in my video today. Like, Rachel, I've been waiting on you because I'm going to run something by you, and it's going to blow your mind. Anyway, so let me finish my Randall Weddle talk, and then I got to tell Rachel this. So you had this 3-day period. He forked out all the money himself. Rachel, since you missed it, the London, Kentucky mayor got indicted on 4 felony counts yesterday. So exposing things is beneficial. Good job to the Kentucky Lantern. They did the good work on that one. So Weddle did all these things. Everybody pretty much threw him under the bus. Like I said in my video this morning, this is kind of the Michael Vick effect. Like, how does Michael Vick ever go to prison for dogfighting? You are a multi-million-dollar and you've got all these buddies around you all the time. Why don't you say, hey, if I ever get in trouble, you take the blame. I'll make sure you have $100 on your books every single week for taking the fall for Michael Vick. And when you get out, I'll make sure you land on your feet. I'll give you some cash and we'll get you rolling. Randall Weddle should have done the same thing. I feel like these guys really do corruption wrong. I feel like they aren't reading the how to be corrupt playbook, because they do everything like they're in a nursery school. Like, how do you screw this up? How do you do your corruption out in the open? Maybe it's because Kentucky, their law enforcement hasn't cared for so long. And Kelly, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's where I'm going with this. And there's more to the theory. And so as we move down this path of the theory, as we explain this out, it's going to make more sense. Kelly's already on top of it. So Kentucky law at the time capped contributions at $2,000 per election to a candidate and $5,000 per year to a political party. So obviously Randall Weddle donated way more than what is allotted under Kentucky law. So that's not really disputable. Everybody kind of let Randall be the fall guy, and we're going to explain why. Kelly's already on top of it. So each count is a Class D felony, punishable by 1 to 5 years in prison and up to $10,000 in fines per court. Maybe that's why he couldn't afford the Maserati anymore. I don't know. Maybe. I heard he's a couple $1 million behind on his income taxes as well. So according to some records I was looking at the other day. Statement coming from the Attorney General's office. Attorney General Russell Coleman, who ChatGPT continues to remind me that he's a Republican for some reason. I don't know why. It keeps making, it says, by the way, he's a Republican. What does that have to do with anything? Either you do your job or you don't. I don't care what political party you belong to. Anyway, I mean, I do. I'm a Republican. Well, I'm not really a Republican. I'm a conservative pain in the ass, but I'm a conservative pain in the butt. I'm going to work on it. I'm not going to say as many bad words. So he announced the indictment publicly, emphasizing that the case reflects longstanding concerns from Laurel County residents about accountability. Somebody in the State House heard the people of London. Well, isn't that interesting? Bashir's campaign said it flagged and refunded excessive contributions once discovered. I wonder who discovered that. Maybe the Kentucky Lantern? I don't know. So his arraignment date is April 15th, Laurel County Circuit Court. I hope the City of London's YouTube page broadcasts that live for everyone to watch. So here's what to expect. Here's what to expect out of this. Now, I don't expect Randall Weddle to go to prison. This is not going to be a prisonable thing for him. So realistically, there's probably going to be a plea deal. Randall Weddle is going to plea out to something. This is probably part of the deal where we're going with Kelly's comment. There's probably been an arrangement made, and well, hopefully you get some good birthday presents on that day. But I think that there's been an arrangement made. I think that, and this is hypothetical. This is just me theorizing. It's not proven fact or anything. But I think that Weddle and Bashir have an agreement because of the amount of dirt that Weddle knows, because of the amount of dirt Andy Bashir knows. I don't think they're going to want to throw each other under the bus for this election nonsense. Now, I think there's going to be a plea deal. So what would that look like? A charge reduction. You're going to go from a Class D felony. You're going to go into the misdemeanor section. So I see maybe an attempted violation of campaign finance laws, which is a misdemeanor. There's going to probably maybe a false statement or reporting misdemeanor. That's going to allow the state to claim accountability. The defendant is going to be able to avoid becoming a convicted felon, and it's going to lead to a faster resolution without the expenses of a trial, which we know Randall Weddle is going to throw a bunch of money at. There could also be a reduction. If that's not plausible, there also could be 3 felony dismissals and 1 sticks. A lot of counties, a lot of prosecutors will do that. They'll say, well, we'll get rid of the other felonies and give you 1, which most counties in most states, they usually run charges concurrent. So really that doesn't make any sense if you have 4, since it's a nonviolent offense. It's probably going to be it wouldn't matter if they dismissed 3 felony charges because they would run them all at the same time anyway. You'd do the same time for all 4 charges. So for me, that's not really a plea deal. If I'm a defendant and I'm looking at that, I'm going, that's not really a deal. I'm not accepting that. But it is an option. 3 counts could be dismissed. The sentence could be probated to no prison. That could be part of the deal as well. So like I said, these are hypotheticals. Nothing here is set in stone, but these are some of the theories that I was sitting around thinking about based upon some of the cases that I've seen in my lifetime. There could be probation instead of prison. So Class D felonies that carry 1 to 5 years, but in a plea deal for nonviolent financial offenses, Kentucky judges almost always impose 3 to 5 years probation for 3 to 5 years. So there would be no incarceration unless Weddle violates his probation, which means he'd have to be on his very best behavior. I think that's going to be something he's probably going to want to try to avoid, probation, but I don't think he's going to be able. Generally, there's going to be some paper involved. Each Class D felony allows up to $10,000 in fines. A plea deal would likely include $5,000 to $20,000 in total fines, depending on how many counts remain. Possible restitution to the state campaign finance registry, if that's required. So a felony conviction would likely force Weddle to resign. Obviously, he's innocent until proven guilty right now, so you can't force him to do anything. It could make him ineligible for office, depending upon how your election laws are. Probably not. I mean, Donald Trump's a president. A misdemeanor plea may allow him to remain in office unless the city council or courts intervene separately. Now, one of the things that I see is, considering that if he's convicted, this is an election violation. So how can we ensure that Randall Weddle will abide by election laws in the future? So I would have issues with that if I was a constituent of London, Kentucky. I'd say, well, you've been you found guilty of violating election laws. How can we trust you won't violate election laws again? So that could be a concern that could hurt him in elections, which I would hope so. I think with the track record of election fixing and election violations and campaign violations that happen all over your little surrounding county area would be cause for concern, to where I'm not real sure I would trust another elected politician that has that kind of election fraud background. So a plea deal could also get specific. It could incorporate like a ruling that says no further campaign finance violations. It could also include agreement not to seek reimbursement from others, which, as slimy as Weddle is, I can see him trying to do that. He would also have to cooperate with any ongoing investigations, and we'll get to that as well. No contact with witnesses or anything like that, whoever the witnesses may be. Compliance with the Kentucky Registry of Election Finance audits, they will probably audit him regularly. So when we look at Andy Beshear's side of things, some people I was watching it on X, and some people were going, well, why isn't Andy Beshear getting charged? Because he accepted the money. They're saying they red flagged it. But let's kind of go through where that's at legally right now. So Andy Beshear was not indicted because the evidence in the grand jury findings show that the illegal conduct was committed by Randall Weddle. So the prosecutor built the case against Randall Weddle specifically. So it was not by Beshear or his campaign. So every news source covering the case reports the same core facts, that Weddle used his own credit card to make donations in other people's names. Beshear's campaign, they say, they flagged the irregular donations once discovered and reported them to Kentucky Registry of Election Finance. There is no evidence that Beshear or his staff solicited, encouraged, or participated in illegal contributions, according to media. I disagree. I look at intent. I think there's an intent there, and we're going to talk about that. Below, so the illegal acts were attributed solely to Weddle. Beshear's campaign flagged the donations. Kentucky law targets the donor who conceals the source. So that's kind of why they focused on Randall Weddle. Making a contribution in someone else's name or advancing money for someone else's contribution, that is a campaign finance law violation. You can't do that. Both are donor side felonies. The law does not criminalize a campaign unless the campaign knowingly participates in the scheme. So you know, I have a tough time with Russell Coleman because I think he turns a blind eye to a lot of other corruption and a lot of other issues in Kentucky. It is my firm belief that one of the largest human trafficking rings in the region are in Kentucky. I think that Russell Coleman knows that and refuses to do anything about it. To me, it's like a giant spotlight, but I'm just a dude on the internet. So when we look at there's text messages, okay? So we know that these text messages have been released to the public. So the text messages are between Randall Weddle and what's his name, Johnson. Andy Bashir, one of Andy Bashir's campaign guys that deals with the finances. So they exchanged 86 text messages in those 3 days that Weddle collected that money, coordinating donations from Weddle's family, employees, and business associates. The messages show Weddle actively gathering donors and Johnson confirming each donation as it hit the campaign portal. They do not show Johnson asking Weddle to break the law. They show aggressive fundraising and Weddle delivering large volumes of donors. So one of the exchanges, Weddle texted Johnson and said, "I've got you $219,000 this week." And Johnson said, "Yes, sir, you have. Thank you so much." To me, that was the opportunity for Johnson to say, "Hey, I should probably explain to you, and just to make sure you're doing everything right, I should probably explain to you how this works. I need you to make sure that these donations are from these people, and you cannot put it all on one credit card and submit it on behalf of everyone." That did not happen. So that is what I call a plausible deniability scenario, where all Johnson has to do to cover it up, he may have, Fred, he may have put it right in his pocket. He probably knew it was illegal and said, it's going in my pocket. But Johnson basically didn't even address the issue, because if he addresses the issue, he acknowledges there may be an issue. So plausible deniability, don't address the issue and just let it get caught if it gets caught. And that way you can step back and say, well, I never told him to do it this way. He just started throwing money in here. That's this. They had Weddle set up from the get-go. If that never got caught by the Kentucky Lantern, they never would have reported it. Guaranteed. My theory, of course. But they had Weddle set up to be the fall guy from the get-go. I don't know if Weddle knew that, but that's what I read into this. Andy Bashir is not stupid. They do discuss donor names. Weddle sending the names of the relatives, employees, and associates who could donate. Johnson checking the campaign portal and confirming each donation arrived. So the reporting does not publish every name, but it confirms the pattern that Weddle suggests the name. Johnson replies when the donation post, and Weddle keeps score of the totals. So there was a system that Weddle was using. Now, if you look at other reports, I've seen other reports that say that there's $500,000 involved. So I do feel like that there's probably more to the story, but I'm not real clear as to exactly how much money there is involved. So there is a notation in campaign finances about $500,000. Right. So they do reference the prior year's fundraising, the 2021, 2022 fundraising work, how they previously raised well over $200,000, how Weddle's network, family, employees, business associates was central to early fundraising. They should probably go back and look at those too, I would imagine. I don't know why they just stuck to the fundraising on this last cycle. They need to go back and look at all of them. And that may be where the 500,000 is coming from. So it shows a long-standing fundraising relationship. So that means Weddle's been in the pocket of the Democrats for a very long time. Just a little asterisk. So Johnson expressed urgency about the December 31st deadline. So they were trying to hurry up and get Weddle to do this as fast as possible. They need to check Johnson's finances for sure. So while no verbatim line is quoted, the reporting states that Johnson was under pressure to hit year-end numbers. He leaned heavily on Weddle to deliver those donors quickly. So they were in a panic, and this is what happened. Now, we have to remember, as those of you in London that are invested in this and paying attention, this is just one victory. There's still several investigations going on. You still have the FBI probe, which two of your yahoos spoke to the FBI. Who knows what they delivered to the feds? It's weird. They talked to the feds, and now Weddle gets indicted. So I don't know if there's anything to that or not, but I wouldn't trust none of them clowns in that circle if I was Weddle right now. Somebody's ratting on them. You also have the NCIC probe that's still going on that the feds are involved in, which I've heard my name is on that probe. That's going to be a super lawsuit. Just so Randall Weddle knows that, in the City of London, if they violated my constitutional right by being on that NCIC list. I heard the same thing, Bonnie. I heard that somebody was talking. There's also the Doug Harless probe. So hopefully we're making some progress with that with the city council, and we're starting to kind of put these pieces together as to what actually happened the day Doug Harless was killed by the London Police Department. That can't rest. That issue can't rest. Out of all this other stuff, the Doug Harless probe needs to go all the way through. We need to know who didn't follow procedure. I want to know what the probable cause was, because if you're just going off of Buttrey's ratting on his buddy, then that's not good enough for me. There's not really a whole lot of substance behind that. He could have name dropped anybody. So I don't know. I want to see the facts. I want to see the facts of that entire case, and somebody should be held accountable. As soon as they find out who violated policy, they need to be exterminated from their employment, terminated, exterminated. Everything needs turned in, gone. When I was talking to my detective, my homicide detective friend, that was the first thing he asked is, have they fired anybody yet? I said, nope. He said, Jesus. Why not? I said, well, because everybody's on the take. They ain't none of them clowns going to fire nobody. You're going to have to make them. So that's where we're at with that case. I don't think they ever found the weed eater, did they? I think it pretty much got sold off about half a dozen times before all the craziness happened. So I don't know. I never heard anything where they retained the weed eater, but that doesn't mean they didn't find it. But that just means they didn't talk about it. So I don't know. I'm not gonna try to say they did or they didn't. So let's talk about the Iran war real quick, and then I got a couple other things I want to cover. First, Rachel. I've been on this like Cody Johnson kick. I'm a huge Cody Johnson fan. He's my favorite country music artist. And I was literally watching some Cody Johnson videos while I was prepping today for my podcast. And I started looking at him like, you know who he looks like? He looks like Kirk Lichtensteiger. So take a look, Rachel. Go look at Cody Johnson and tell me he don't look like Kirk Lichtensteiger. What's up, Rob? Live from Canada. He is amazing. I agree. Cody Johnson's awesome. So let's go into the war updates, because that's pretty much all I do all day is watch the news all over the world of the war. And then I actually have to be on Pakistan TV tonight talking to Trump's going to speak on the Iran war at 9:00. So I got to stay up and watch that. Oh, Freddie, I'm jealous. Freddie's seen Cody Johnson 4 times in concert. Man, that's on my bucket list. I want to see Cody Johnson so bad. He's such a phenomenal musician. But anyway, I got to watch Trump's speech tonight, and then I got to report on it on TV. So it's going to be a long night, I think. I don't want it to be a long night. Last night was a long night, so I was on the news last night too. Then I have an exclusive primetime interview on Friday. But it'll be the morning here. Get my own Q&A, my first primetime interview, just me. So that's exciting. You know what? He looks like Corey too. I thought the same thing. Then I was like debating, like, does he look more like Corey Lichtensteiger or does he look like Kirk? But I haven't seen Corey since he retired from the NFL. So I'm not, I saw him in Family Video a long time ago, but he was still playing for the Redskins back then or the Washington Commanders. But I haven't seen him in quite a bit. I saw his mom, I think, sooner than that, But anyway, the Iran war. So the U.S.-Israeli forces continue hitting military and government sites across Iran, including Tehran. A strike appears to have hit inside the former U.S. Embassy compound in Tehran, now controlled by the IRGC's besieged force. Israel is expanding operations in southern Lebanon, signaling a long-term occupation zone. Iran continues missile and drone attacks on Israel, U.S. bases, and Gulf states. Kuwait International Airport suffered a major fire after Iranian strikes on fuel tanks. That was a pretty big fire. I was watching that one. And Iran-backed Houthis launched additional missiles towards Israel. I would be willing to bet they probably won't exist on this planet much longer. Iran's retaliation strategy has effectively shut down the Strait of Hormuz, choking 20% of the global oil flow. Trump says the war will not end until the strait is open, free, and clear. In the opposition's defense, President Trump has said quite a few things like contrary. So I'm not going to jump off the deep end of anything that he's saying as far as when the war is going to end or what it's going to end, because I feel like when it comes to this war, it's like being like playing football. You have, you're in the NFL, they script their first 15 plays or whatnot. They run those plays and then they are able to gauge what works and what won't work. So then they kind of redo their game plan from there on the fly. I think that's what we're seeing here in this war, where President Trump had his first few plays scripted, and then he said, we'll see what they do and we'll make adjustments. So it's kind of like Peyton Manning given the Omaha at the line of scrimmage saying, hey, I don't like that. Let's change the play. So I think that's what we're looking at here. And the international media annoys me with that because they're like, well, President Trump said this and now we're doing this. I'm like, well, since when is a war like completely scripted out where you make a plan and it goes exactly perfectly according to plan? Was Joe Biden's plan just to land helicopters on top of buildings and have troops getting killed at Abbey Gate? I don't think that was part of the plan, but Joe Biden he did an audible, which cost people their lives. So where was the criticism on that? We still, Joe Biden wouldn't even acknowledge those soldiers that even died at Abbey Gate. So, President Trump is at least, acknowledging our fallen soldiers like a real president should. I'm sorry, that gets me fired up. I think we should honor our soldiers. That's my soapbox moment for the day. So Trump says Iran's new regime president privately asked the U.S. for a ceasefire. He says the U.S. will only consider it after Hormuz is reopened. They're throwing a fit about that too. Like, well, President Trump is saying that there's a talks between Iran but Iran's saying there's not. And then like the news outlets come back later and they're like, well, we are able, there's too many news is reporting that talks are happening. I'm like, okay, well, which is it? Do you guys believe Trump's talking to Iran or do you not? Because you guys, like, they go back and forth on it all the time. They're like, Trump's a liar, but he's telling the truth, but he's still a liar. Like, come on, man. I need y'all to develop some consistency here. So, like I said, Iran says there's no negotiations going on, but there's a backdoor deal going on for sure. The war will continue until the aggressor is punished. That's what Iran is saying. I don't know what they think the punishment's going to be. Because like I said, with this ambassador I was arguing with yesterday, like she was all about the international courts. I'm like, Benjamin Netanyahu, Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, they all have active warrants from the International Criminal Court, but yet nobody from Europe has the balls to go get anybody. So please tell me where the International Criminal Court has any teeth to do anything besides bark. They're not going to do anything. Even if the International Criminal Court says Donald Trump's a horrible human being, which they do, they don't have it in them to go get him. Just like they don't with Putin, just like they don't with Benjamin Netanyahu. So there's that. And plus, the United States, we don't comply with the International Criminal Court. We have a United States Constitution that says that don't matter. So our posture. So hundreds of U.S. Special Operations Forces are now in the region. Trump threatens to seize Iranian oil infrastructure and take the oil. Iran warns it's waiting to set U.S. troops on fire if ground forces enter. That will be the last thing that happens. I'm pretty sure we have a way bigger fireball than they do. Also going on. So there's been a lot of whining and complaining over the Trump making NATO comments. Me personally, if you all watch my show for a long period of time and read my book, The Swiss Effect, you all know how I stand on that. I don't think America needs Europe for anything. I think they've been screwing us over for 150 years. I don't have any use for them anymore. You take America out of NATO and out of all those stupid global acronym organizations over there, and Europe is nothing. That is a nothing burger. They know it. They need our money and they need our military backing to have any kind of force. If we walk away from NATO like Trump is threatening, Vladimir Putin is going to start frothing at the mouth. And they know it. NATO's trying to play hardball. Keir Starmer's trying to play hardball, even though Keir Starmer's approval rating is completely in the toilet. I'm not sure who's got a lower approval rating, Keir Starmer or Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson. Those guys got the worst approval ratings ever. So Keir Starmer is going to be out the door anyway. He needs to go sit down and let somebody who's got some authority do something. But Trump told the Telegraph he is considering pulling the U.S. out of NATO, calling it a paper tiger. I 100% agree. I badmouth NATO every chance I get on the international news. It's my thing. This has triggered emergency consultations in Europe. This is one of the most geographically destabilizing statements of the war so far. So when we're looking at the casualties, you see a lot of misinformation going around out there about the deaths of the war. But here's what is official. Al Jazeera confirms it with CNN, confirms it with Fox. These are all pretty much roundabout numbers. So anything else coming out is propaganda. Iran has about 1,598 deaths right now. Lebanon has 1,260. The Gulf states have 50-ish. Israel has 17, and the U.S. casualties are around 13. So when you're looking at that, that's where we're really at on the body count right now. Iranian energy and water facilities are hit. A desalination plant near Hormuz was knocked offline. Oil tanker struck off a cutter. So there's a lot of damage getting done. We could shut their lights off right now if we wanted to. And Trump's trying to do it without disrupting the civilian infrastructure, which is smart. I agree with that. I think what you should do is less damage as humanly possible to the people, the actual people of Iran. However, if they're besiege or IRGC, game on. So like I said, Trump has a national address tonight. Everybody in the world is going to be watching this thing. Every news outlet that I work with is anticipating this big event he's going to announce. He's announcing some major dang, Freddie, you just dangled a carrot over my face right there. Whew. I love me some Cody Johnson. He is so talented. We might have to have a conversation about that. So whether Iran escalates missile attacks on Gulf states, that's something that we need to watch for, which they could. Whether the U.S. begins ground operations, I really hope that doesn't happen. I don't want to see our troops on the ground in Iran, just mainly because I know Iran is going to fight, and they're going to fight hard. I'm not going to sit here and try to doubt that they're not going to fight hard, which means American casualties. The less casualties we have here, the better. So I don't want to see us on the ground. Could there be any shift in Iran's public stance on ceasefire? One of the points that I made on the news today was that it doesn't appear that we even know who's really running the country. Reports are coming out that the IRGC has taken over the actual running of the country, and that the clerics no longer are running things. Which, either way, it's not good for us. However, the point that I was trying to make is, if there's this dissent going on amongst, within the ranks, and everybody's arguing about who's going to run the country, then I see this imploding internally in Iran. I think that they will end up eating themselves from the inside. Yeah, and Freddie, I don't want to prop Iran up too much, but they are a capable military force. So, and Rachel, that's a good point. It is an opportunity for the United States, and I think that Trump is trying to create that. Just like the gentleman on the news that I showed the clip of, he mapped it out. He said, when has it ever happened that within a couple weeks the first 4 tiers of leadership have been decimated in a conflict? I don't think we've ever seen that. So when you're looking at that, Iran's got this. I'm not trying to work my way up the ladder in their military anymore. I'm probably going to go, how do I get demoted? Because I don't want to be the next round of explosions happening. And I think you're going to have people really start to question the reality of this war. And every time they do something to promote somebody, Israel or the U.S. blows them up. So that is something to consider as an Iranian soldier that has rank. So I do think that that's going to be an issue. And eventually I think you're going to start seeing more dissenters from the Iranian military. They're going to say, I don't want blown up. I've got a family. I've got this going on. I want things to go back to how they were 50 years ago, 47 years ago. So I think that's where we're looking on that. So President Trump did say today, and this is probably the last thing I'm going to mention about the war. President Trump did make a very good comment today, and I think that's probably why the economy reacted in such a massive positive in the last couple of days. President Trump did say that as soon as we pull out of this war, which is going to be any time now, the oil prices they're going to start dropping. It's guaranteed. So I think the markets liked hearing that. They like hearing President Trump's confidence, and they definitely like hearing that this is coming to an end. I think if we can get through the next couple weeks, or maybe even sooner, depending upon what President Trump says in his speech tonight, which hopefully is going to be something good that we can all take a breath. And plus, you also have to remember that his wartime powers are starting. That deadline is coming up. So at some point, Congress is going to have to get involved, which you don't want, because our Congress is a disaster. I don't trust not a single one of them. And all they want to do is stand on their soapbox and get clicks and not get anything done. Hell, they're all on vacation right now, while TSA is not. We literally, if you go to Hartsfield-Jackson Airport right now, good luck. You're going to be in line for a long time. And that's not good. We can't have We can't have that stuff happening. For one, you want to keep people flowing through the airport, because how many times? Well, hell, just last year we had a terrorist attack or an attempt at Hartsfield Jackson Airport. So you don't want people just loitering around or large groups of people in one spot. Keep people moving through the system. Get them up to the checkpoints and get these people checked and get them through. It's a security risk. We need to get this stuff done. And this applies to every airport in America right now, or every major one, international airport. So yes, I am going to be doing an interview with a sheriff candidate in Pike County on Monday. I'm excited about it. He's a stand-up guy. The community loves him, and he is going to be running against what I would consider a tyrant. And I am currently building a massive exposure case against him right now. That's deep, super deep. So we're going to get to that, and hopefully we'll get some good police work done, or good investigative work. Maybe we'll draw some attention from some 3-letter acronym organizations and see what happens. That's my plan anyway. We'll see what happens. Now, I do want to tell you guys in London, like I'm starting to like it. I know I'm famous today. I know, like I'm in every, like my ears have been itching all day, because I know that the Facebook world in London has been going crazy. I came back to TikTok for like a week, and my opposition in London's lost their mind, which I encourage you to continue doing that. Please continue losing your mind, because you just continue to drive views and followers to my page. So I highly appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm actually considering, since I don't have any real relations to anything in the region, except for maybe like some people in the Napier family or the Lewis family that I may be related to by marriage. Anyway, I've been considering investing in London, maybe opening up a tattoo shop. I got a friend who does tattoos, and he's been like, man, I need to find me an area I can do some tattoos. So I'm thinking about maybe buying some property, maybe downtown in London, so my buddy can shoot some tattoos in London, make some money. Because people like tattoos. Tattoos are fun. I'm getting tattooed on tomorrow, working on my sleeve. Yep, Grayson County. Them people, like some of them guys over there, I think they think it's sweet right now, but I haven't forgot about Grayson County. I'm still talking to people and looking at stuff and, interviewing people. Like, I'm just collecting intelligence right now. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I can do with that. But it's going to be exciting to see the tears and the crying on April 15th. I wouldn't get our hopes up, London people. There will be some kind of deal that gets offered, so expect that. And don't get too crazy about it, because it is a nonviolent offense. And as we know, the Biden administration basically changed all the laws there. You're not supposed to be putting nonviolent offenders in prison, so there's going to be a deal. It's just how the legal system works now. So our prisons are too full. Facts. Yeah, see, Tom can come on. See, I already got business coming in on this tattoo shop. This might be a winner. Yeah, see there, I got 2 customers already. I gotta look into this. I'm gonna have to talk to the Small Business Administration down there in London to see if we can get this thing popping. I got two customers already. See, we're just bringing people together here. We're not being divisive and tearing. Look, we're bringing people together. I'm bringing my people and meeting them up with my new friends in London. That's what we're all about, bringing people together for the good. So yeah, we got lots of interviews coming up. I'm going to be doing a lot more. It's election season, so I got to do as many as possible. I'm trying to work on one with Mike with Mike Collins right now as well, our representative here in Georgia, so that created the Lake and Riley bill. So I'm working on that right now too. I've been talking to his people pretty heavy lately. That's all I do is talk on the phone all day, I think. But that's the end of the Expendable Show for the day. It's cold in here. I gotta get my coat on. I'm gonna get ready. I dug this out of storage today because somebody was questioning my integrity. So I had to get some relics out from the good old days. But that's all I've got. Everybody be safe. I'm out. Peace.